Hi, today I'm going to go through Microvellum Toolbox and I'm going to give you a walkthrough of a project from start to finish. I think this is helpful to kind of get an understanding of the workflow of the software. It's also good to just kind of get an idea of the output of what you're going to get out of it. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what you're looking at right now, and then I'll give you an overview of my goal and in this video, and then I'll just get started. All right, so what you're looking at right now is Microvellum Toolbox 2024. So if I open this up, you'll see, so if I do that, not that one, I need that one. So this is Toolbox 2024. This is a OEM version of AutoCAD. You can see it says Toolbox right up here at the top, but in this area is CAD and right up here is CAD. And when you go to the About page, it's going to show you that it's an Autodesk product. So it's powered, we're on the shoulders of giants. No sense trying to reinvent the wheel and coming out with a CAD program when AutoCAD has got it nailed. So we're using the AutoCAD platform to showcase the automation that you get with Microvellum. So just wanted to show you that that's what that is. OEM versus like the full version, we can attach to the full version of AutoCAD, but it's got to be within the last 3 years, 22, 23, or 24. And the difference between the full version and this OEM version is this doesn't have the ability to do Lisp routines or the ability for like express tools. If you don't know what those are, then you're not going to be missing anything. If you do know what those are, the Lisp routine gives you the ability to automate some of your processes. With Microvellum, it's essentially one big Lisp routine. So if you're using it with that in mind, then it kind of negates that. All right, so that's the version of CAD really that I'm using. The version of Microvellum is the build is in August of 2015. So this is the latest and greatest Microvellum, latest and greatest library. So I just want to show you kind of how things work. One caveat that I will say is I have not done any customization to this. I have not gone in and made it my own or anything like that. I haven't added a whole bunch of things so that when I show you, it's a wow. And then when you get it yourself, you're like, wait, Adam, this doesn't match what I had. The only customization that I've done is I've changed my cursor color and I've changed my my command line to what I like to see in CAD. Up here, you'll see is just the standard AutoCAD ribbon. If you want to see it in a more conventional CAD way, you can just hit this little arrow and it'll show you those CAD features. I like to shrink it down a little bit when I'm walking through just to keep it nice and clean. Down here, you'll see, I am typing in some commands here and there. If I go too fast, I'm sorry. This is more just to give you an idea of the walkthrough concept. So again, this is AutoCAD. If I were to draw a rectangle or draw a line or draw a circle, I would do that the same way that I would do it normally in AutoCAD. If I were to do dimensioning, I would do that the same as I would do in AutoCAD because it is AutoCAD. It's got the same paper space, model space, all the things that you would normally do in CAD. You have the ability because it is AutoCAD. But now when I want to use Microvellum and I want to get into kind of how a project works, I'm going to come over to my Microvellum toolbox or tool palette. The way that we have this set up is it's set up really in the way that you would work. You'd start with a project, then you would start to draw that project, maybe modify that project, and then the solid modeling is the customization side of things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start a project, just something simple. I'm going to draw like a kitchen break room area, and I'm going to show you how to customize a product. First one that I do, I kind of customize a little bit, and then I'll show you how to just drop in a few more standard ones. And then I'll take those, give you a few examples of what we can do with the drawings. And then I'll take that right to what would happen if you output it to a saw or a CNC machine, the reporting that you'd get. After I'm done with that, I'm going to come back into the program. I'm going to show you just a little bit of some of the custom things that we can do and tackle. One of the things that I've found in using this software in production myself is I haven't found something that I can't do in it. It's incredible. It's an incredible program. It's like AutoCAD in the sense that, you got something crazy to do. You just sit down and get it done. So a little bit about my background too. I come from cabinet making, woodworking industry. I've been in it for about 20 years. I went to school for carpentry and woodworking. I got done with school. I started at a shop, local shop, right around the corner from me. And I ended up building at the bench. And I went into, because I knew AutoCAD from college, I was able to get pulled into the office and took over the drafting, engineering, CNC department, and was using Microvellum on high-end commercial, high-end residential, you name it, die walls, all the things that you could imagine we got to do. So, I started my own drafting business in 2009. And then in 2017, I bumped into Microvellum at a trade show, and they asked me to kind of help them out with the sales side of things in New England. So if you're interested in talking about Microvellum, and you're in the New York and New England area, just give me a call. If not, I'll point you in the right direction. Anyways, let's get into this. So when I want to start a project, I'm going to select the project. Notice everything's kind of grayed out. And this will give me a drop down. In the drop down, I have the ability to organize my projects in folders, in a folder structure. I could just right click and add as many folders as I want, or categories. Or within the category, I can add my own projects. So I am going to add, because this is the latest and greatest, I'm just going to add a new category, and I'm going to call it 5, and we'll say Adam Deere. If you wanted to not see it in like a folder view and just see a list of all your projects, there is a way to do that. But that's not how I have it set up. So I'm just going to right click now and hit new project, add new project. It's going to ask me for a name. I'm going to say, let's do 1001, and we'll say kitchen _ break room. Okay. Now, when I click OK, what's happening in the background is there's a template. The template is being copied into the project. That template is going to have your construction methods. It's going to have your drawing DWG templates. It's going to have everything that is a normal, what you would want to have as a template, your material library, all of that stuff. And so when now I have created this project, I can go in and make modifications to that as much as I want to. So you could have one project that's maybe high-end residential, another project that's high-end commercial, another project that's just straight commercial, another project that's just a die wall. It doesn't matter as far as that goes. Once your project is created, you can do whatever you want to it. You can even have multiple setups within the same template file, so that you can have, hey, this is my residential setup and my residential set of materials, my commercial and my commercial set of materials, my shop grade stuff and my shop grade set of materials, or all paint grade, whatever it may be. I could have those all in groups, and I'll show you where you can find that. So under the project setup, the first thing that I'm going to look at is my job description. So I can add in job description, job number, phone number, emails, contacts even. So we can even pre-save some existing contacts if we're working with the same people over and over again. And this is gonna populate my title block in CAD. User defined stuff, revision numbers, revision dates. Again, that's gonna populate my title block. These are all fields, and in AutoCAD, we can just refer to these as the fields. If I need to add more, I can add more by right-clicking and going from there. Correspondence is a great way for your entire team to be able to keep track of what's happening in a project. Say an architect or designer says, hey, I want to move everything from or change everything from blue to red. We want to have that note here. I get the email. I'm working with 3 other people on the project. I can just right click and hit add that correspondence here, put in a name. I can put in a name and an email, and then a subject, say, red to blue. I can even copy and paste information. And then when I hit save, that's going to save as a note. And now everybody can see that note who's working in this project. So there's really 3 areas, 4 if you want to mess with hardware, where you're going to be looking at, making changes for a project. One is the project wizard, which is kind of like a high level overview. Some general things, grain directions, default sizes. The second is the global variables, which is like all the little details that you can have. Door and drawer reveals, setbacks, whether or not, by default, I want all my cabinets to be a certain inset or overlay, that kind of stuff. There's about 1,500 different settings within the global variables where we can customize and tweak things like that. And then our materials are really the materials. What parts and pieces are assigned? Excuse me. What parts and pieces are assigned to which material? So in the wizard, we could even adjust construction methods. I can go in and I can adjust my default cabinet sizes. So say I had a project where, I'm working on a kitchen and it's an NBA player and they happen to be a little bit taller than the standard 36-inch kitchen. Well, I can make an adjustment here that all base cabinets for that particular project are going to come in at a higher height automatically. Or say you're working on a commercial project and the cabinets per the architecturals are supposed to be 84 inches tall. But then you get there and the general contractor had to make a decision because there's a pipe in the way or not, where all the tall cabinets are 83 and 5/8. Well, I can make the change here and all those cabinets will come in. Or if I've got everything already drawn, the benefit of Microvellum is you have the ability to say, hey, I want to make that change, and it'll kind of retroactively put it onto everything else. So very, very powerful things that you can do as far as that goes. Additional construction, so you can say, hey, I want everything to be full inset or overlay or rails, or look up what you want to have for your shelves if you had a certain parameter in place. Grain directions if you needed to do that, or buyouts. Again, high level overview kind of concept with this project wizard. The globals are more the details. So if I go into globals and I go into construction and I go into, I don't know, say cabinet back, this is where we might set up the different parameters between what we want. Well, maybe we want everything to be a thick back, or maybe we want the tops and bottoms to, have different options. So again, 1,500 different settings here. So quite a lot to go through. Materials. These are the materials that are being called for, and then this is the material library that we have. And in the setup process, you're going to work with a technician that's going to help you kind of get things set up the way that you like to see them. And then once you have that done, it's that part of that template. So in here, I can look at, I have MDF, I have all the different sizes. If I wanted to change something over here, I would say, okay, here's my base door. I want to change it from this to something else, or maybe I don't know. We'll find something that's whatever it may be. Applied finished or applied back panel. I can say, okay, I want that to be 3/4 MDF, and I can push it. Now it's 3/4 MDF. So the cool thing with this is it adjusts for thicknesses. So if my sides were say 3/4 of an inch and I needed to make them 5/8. When I adjust that, it's going to adjust all the tops and bottoms accordingly. Likewise, if you get a bunk of material and say everything's supposed to be 3/4 of an inch, but then when you mic it before you get cut on the CNC machine, it's 0.7435. I can I can go in and make the change here and then process for the CNC machine, and it's going to make the updates for all the cabinet sizes accordingly. Other cool thing with the material that I used to use quite a bit is you can specify in a material code what bit it cuts with. So I can, instead of going with what's called our default routing tool, where it just puts the default routing on everything, if I cut my melamine with a compression bit and my MDF with a straight bit and my plywood with a down spiral bit, I would just specify those specific bit numbers right within the material code, and now it's going to output to the CNC and to the G code with those specific tool numbers. So very, very powerful, very time saving as far as that goes. I can't tell you how many parts and pieces I've had to make an update to manually. That takes a while. And then the last little place that you could go is the hardware. So under hardware, you can go to the other places too, but on a job to job concept. Under hardware, we have all the major hardware companies associated. So Blum and Grass and Hettich and Salici, and we even have Institutional. So that these are the hinges. These are the plates. We have handles. If I go into handles, I can see there's a lot of different options for knobs and pulls and rods. These, though, are the defaults. If we needed to add our own, we just copy one, make a modification to it, and we can go from there. All of this information is going to have machining built into it. We actually have some of our hardware, contacts actually have Microvellum, and they're importing in their own hardware. So we have hardware companies that have Microvellum and that they're doing their own thing so that we can have it incorporated into our library. So very up to date, very cool as far as that goes. We have a lot more hardware companies knocking on our door because they see the value in getting their hardware in our system. And so we're adding to that really on a monthly basis. Same with drawers. So we have all the major drawers in here. We have wood drawers if we wanted to do that. We have Blum, Metabox, Legrobox, you name it. Chances are it's in this system. And if it's not, again, you can add your own. We used to do trailer cabinets where they would go on the back of a tractor trailer, and it was a medical cabinet or medical tractor trailer unit. And so with those, you couldn't put 4-inch pulls on it. You had to put a push latch because it's going to be bumping down the road. And so the push latch wasn't in the system at the time. This was many years ago. And so I said, okay, well, I just drew my own push latch, the AutoCAD drawing for it. And I assigned the machining to it. I figured out where the machining needed to go. I assigned the machining to it, and then I put it into the system. And when I put it into my product, it drew that hardware the right way it was supposed to be. And it actually put in all the machining instructions for the door and for the plate that was going on the bottom or the top, wherever it may be. So hardware is really cool, really powerful. And there are other areas where we can mess with doors and everything, but this all that I just went over is called our specification group. And the cool thing is we can have multiple groups. This is where I was saying you could have a residential, you could have a commercial, you could have a paint grade, and you just specify, hey, all of these parameters for my paint grade. But if I had a cabinet and I wanted to change it from residential to paint grade, I'd just change that specification group. All the settings are going to change like that. So I've done that before where multiple hospital, floors, and they all get different colors. So similar construction method, but they're all different colors. Just make a new group, color code it, and you're good to go. All right. So now that I'm done with this is the boring part. Now I'm going to just hit save and close, and let's draw. I'll try to keep this as concise as I can, but yet get you all the information. So now that I'm in the drawing phase, I'm going to hit new room. Before I do that, I just want to make sure that I have a certain parameter set. Okay, we're going to do that. And we can change that too. If we didn't want to see room there, we could make that say DWG. We could do a lot of different things, but let's do a new room. So it brings up my project, and when I right click, I'm going to say add new room. Room 1 is fine, or I could say let's do kitchen. Actually, let's do 4-3 kitchen break room. Okay, and when I click OK, it's going to pull up a drawing template. I'm going to pick this template instead. Now this is going to be your actual DWG template. So once this opens, you'll see it's blank, but now I have cover page, I have different page setups all ready to go. Those would be yours if this was in your system. So I'm going to go and I'm going to just make sure that my walls are going to come in appropriately. So I'm going to say, okay, maybe I don't want a 6-inch wall. Maybe I want a 4 5/8, and maybe 96 tall. Okay. And I'm going to go in to draw now. And first we're going to draw a wall. And so it's already kind of set there by default. We can have moldings as well, but we're just going to keep it simple. Draw a wall. I'm going to right click and hit draw at a certain point. And now I'm in AutoCAD. And I'm going to come down here and say, okay, let's draw a wall here. We'll go 40 inches back and maybe over 160. It's pulled in my wall. Notice the parameters have come in appropriately. This is drawing three-dimensionally. And so I'm just going to put a rectangle here at the bottom in AutoCAD. So REC, enter. And then I'm going to come over here and say, hey, I want to make a floor of this polyline. And now I'm going to go back to the top-down view and just start to add a little bit more information to this. So I have my walls and my floor. Now let's go to my products. Now under the products, we have a few different categories. There's a few extra that I have that don't come standard. So I want to just note what those are. The one that comes standard when you purchase is the frameless cabinetry. Inside that frameless cabinetry one, it has base cabinets and upper cabinets and tall cabinets. All of these are kind of like a starter point. Even though it's a library, it's not cookie cutter, if that makes sense. All of our library components are highly customizable. We can change the width, the height, the depth, how many drawers, how many this, how many that, whatever it may be, we can make that change. And so what I typically would do in production is I would get my set of architecturals with my custom cabinet lineup. And I would look and I'd say, okay, hey, I got this one cabinet. The bottom kind of looks like a two drawer base, and the top kind of looks like it's got adjustable shelves, but it's all one tall cabinet. Well, what can I use to start with that I could get the best results on that? And so that's what you use this for, in my experience. So we do have other options for libraries. We have a closet library. We have a bathroom partition library, which is like commercial bathrooms. We have a face frame if you're doing face frame stuff, and office furniture. We even have a staircase library. So lots of different options. There's a couple other ones in here too that don't have additional categories, but like a range hood. Anything that you want to build within this program is possible. So it's just using sheet, material, and using drawing tokens and drawing abilities. And so that's why we had a customer that was like, hey, we do bathroom partitions. Well, that doesn't really make sense. It's not a cabinet. Well, we were able to come up with a really good library for them. And so enough that we made it so that we can have it available for other people too. So, all right, back to frameless. I'm going to start with just a tall cabinet in the corner. I'm going to do a tall cabinet, a refrigerator cabinet, and then a couple of base cabinets that are 3 drawers, a couple of upper cabinets that are just 2 doors. So up here, I'm going to go to my tall cabinet category. Once you're into the category, it gives you a list of all the ones that you can do. So there's ones with bottoms and tops and 2 doors and 3 doors and open. I'm just going to do a 1 door, and it gives you a little image down here. If you want to see just pictures, you can do that. So it's kind of nice to just get a quick visual. If you want to see a list and the picture right here, you can do that, and that's what I like to do. Or you could search, or you could see we can group it together. So we'll go back to list. When I want to drop that in, I'm just going to right click on this and hit place on wall, anchor left. And now I clicked the wall and I right clicked, and now it's kind of saying, hey, this is where it's going to be. Where do you want to drop it? So I'm going to just kind of pull it in this direction and say, let's do 1 inch off the wall. And before I even mess with this, I'm just going to click OK and show you what happens. It's going to draw this product out. So what's cool is it's drawn it out 3-dimensionally. So I not only can see it in 3-dimensional space, I can zoom in, I can see what it looks like, I can see what machining is happening, what hardware is happening, if the hardware is in the right spot, if the pull's in the right spot. All of these instructions are visually right in front of me. So it's a fantastic way to double check things, fantastic way to just get a feel for if maybe 2 cabinets or 3 cabinets going together with cutouts in them are going to work. All of that is very, very beneficial to see. But I want to customize this cabinet. I want to make it unique for this particular situation. So I can go back to what we call our prompts page. So I just selected this icon up here, which brings me back. And now we can change parameters. So maybe the width of it is supposed to be 21 and 3/16. I can just add that in. Height and depth I'm going to leave alone. When I was talking about the height changing, if I leave this alone, it will automatically adjust to that default height. If I override it, then it'll stay what it is. So if I have a certain particular cabinet I need to do that with, this gives me the option to pick and choose what I need. In this situation too, I'm going to have a filler on the left side because it's got a scribe. So I'm going to add that in. On the internal options, we can see different components. We can see if I want a left swing door, a right swing door, or an overlay door, an inset door. These are all parameters that can be further adjusted. So if you remember on the overview one, we can make that a mass adjustment for all cabinets. But now on the individual cabinet view, I can do that for just this one cabinet if I wanted to. Fantastic, again, for if you have room-to-room switches or cabinet-to-cabinet changes, you can do that. Toe kicks are in here and that. So when I make the change to this and click OK, it's actually going to redraw the cabinet to those specifications. So now my scribe is there. I can see my width has changed. I'm going to go back in, and I can go back into those prompts as many times as I need to, and say that in this particular situation, I had an issue where maybe there's a pipe that's coming down, and a standard square cabinet is not going to cut it. I'm going to need to do a notch or something. So I can go back into my parameters or back into my my prompts. And to the other thing I wanted to notice, this is coming in decimal format. You can actually have this set up for fractional or even metric. We can do metric. This, though, is going to require more information, but you can see I only have a few options here at the top. Down here, all of these different categories in the prompts that have this green color to them, when I select that, it'll actually give me another option bracket here at the top, or option tab. This is super cool because if I don't want to see all of it, I can just deselect it and it's nice and simple. But if I want to see more options, I can select all of these and it'll open up a tab, and now I have hundreds and hundreds of options that I can choose from. So it's very versatile when it comes to getting things customized. So under here, I'm going to go into my construction options, and I can change if I want my screws and dowels and screws to change to just screws, my back to be a full overlay back, or fully applied back. But right down here at the bottom is what I want to know is I want to change, and I want to have it notch that cabinet back out. So I can notch it to the left, to the right, in between, for the center. All of these are options that we have, and in all of our cabinet carcasses, we have these options built in. So I'm going to say, let's do a left-handed notch. And when I select that up here at the top, it gives me one more area, and this is my notch sizing. So I could just put in a number if I wanted to, or I could double click in this area, and now I can actually select it right from the drawing. So I'm going to say, no, I want this one to be that wide. If it comes in, I call this a crazy number because it doesn't mathematically equate to any fraction. So I'm going to say 8 5/8, And I could do the same thing for this one and say, all right, what's this work out to be? And maybe we'll just do 8 5/8 for both. Okay. And then I'm going to click OK. And when it's done, it's going to draw in that notch. Now this one had added the 1 inch for the scribe, but still you can get the gist of what that just did. So it's notched the shelves, it's notched the bottom, it's notched the top, and it's given me a nice space for that pipe to come up through. So that's one method of customization. And again, I have hundreds and hundreds of options within this to make changes. But what if you get in a situation where you need to make a change or an alteration to this cabinet that is not necessarily one of those options? Maybe it's a cutout for like an electrical component that's going into it, or you have wire chases that need to happen. So we have the ability to take any part or piece in this particular cabinet and drop it down in a two-dimensional view like it would cut on the CNC machine. So I'm going to say, hey, I want to do that. And I want to grab this cabinet side, and it's going to now take that cabinet side and draw it down in a two-dimensional fashion. So this is what the CNC is going to like. You know, it's got routes in there. It's got my dados in there. It's got my adjustable shelf pin holes. And now I'm going to say, all right, I want to start adding some cutouts. So let's do a cutout here and a cutout here. And I'm just doing rectangles, maybe a circle cutout, maybe another rectangle. Maybe these are electrical components or whatnot. Then I'm going to say, all right, well, let's connect all these with a polyline. So let's just connect to the center, keep it simple. All right, so that's just a continuous 2D polyline. These are just rectangles. I haven't done anything special. But over here, now I have an option to add some machining. So I can go into my routing tools and say, hey, yeah, I want to do a machine route at 3/4 of an inch, which is the side thickness. And I'm going to select existing entities. So we can say, select these entities. It's going to say, do you want to route the exterior of the circle? I don't. It's going to show me which side the router's on. Looks like I made a mistake. So I'm going to say, no, let's go to the right side instead. That's not a big deal. So now it's going to the inside. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to say on this route that connects them all, I'm imagining it as a plow that's going to be in the back of the cabinet. So I'm going to say, let's make it face 6. Face 6 always turns red, so it didn't change color, but it did add that route to it. So that looks good for customization. I'm going to go back and just right click and hit update and redraw. And now it's going to redraw this particular product with my customization on the sides. So you can zoom in, and this is where I love the drawing connection, is I can zoom in, I can see exactly what's going on, and I can say, okay, yep, that looks good, and let's move on to the next cabinet. So this cabinet, again, I spend most of the time on for this cabinet because I'm showing you how you can do some customization. Any part or piece that you want, you can drop down in that 2D view, draw it out, make it happen. But now I'm going to just start dropping cabinets in so that I can see how fast this goes. So the next one I'm going to do is a refrigerator cabinet. And so this one I'm just going to right click on, and I'm going to say, let's place this one next to this product. So I don't need to remember the width. I don't need to remember, exactly where it needs to go. It's just going to go to the right of this cabinet. This one, I'm going to keep all the defaults, but I'm just going to say it's got a right finished end because I'm going to put bases and uppers next to it. So click OK. It's going to draw that in. It does pull in like an appliance, what's it called? Placeholder, if you will. I'll tell you what I tell all my drafters. For all appliances, in all situations, go to the manufacturer's website and get the latest and greatest. I typically calculate many hours, like 10, 3 to 8 hours, to gather my appliance information for a particular project, because I've gone to Sub-Zero, and one refrigerator will change, same make and model and item number. The information for the specs will change from 1 month to the next just because they've updated some things. So always go to the manufacturer website, always download those fresh so that you can make sure that those correlate. Because really, when it comes to kitchen design, I'm sure all of you know this if you're watching this, those appliances really make or break that as far as the kitchen goes. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to my base cabinet category, and I'm going to say my base drawer bank, and we'll do a 3-drawer bank. And I'm just going to right click and say place next to this product. This time though, I'm going to do a quantity of 3. And now the dialog box that's coming up is actually for all 3 of them. So in this one, I'm just going to keep it generic and say, hey, I want it to be 30 1/8 wide. And we'll come back in down here and I'll say, okay, I want to go to a calculator and see what my drawer fronts are. Well, they're coming in as 3 equal drawer fronts, which is nice. But in this situation, the architect wants a 6-inch and 2 equals. So when I do the calculations, it's actually calculating my reveal in there and I'm good to go. So I'll click OK. Everything else looks good. We can go into more details here if I want to, like drawer options. If we want to, let's make the top one a wood box versus the Allegra box. But now that looks good and I'll click OK. It's going to now draw these 3 cabinets. Now the drawing, if you wanted to skip this part, you could just drop 3 cabinets into the project. But it's nice to have the drawing to be able to have that visual. So the thing I'm doing right now is I just went back to my prompts for this last cabinet and I'm going to make it a finished right end. So it looks appropriate, and we can tell our finished ends are purple. So you can see both of those kind of came in. If you had a finished end set up for applied panel, in the globals, it would automatically apply the panel and adjust the size to whatever you've specified the settings should be for that. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch to the face frame. And I know this isn't a default library, but what I'm going to do is I want to show you there's a report that the face frame makes, which is kind of nice for those of you that do face frame. So I'm going to go into my upper cabinet and make a 2-door upper with face frame. And I'm going to place this next to this product. Same thing, quantity of 3. And in this instance, I'm going to say 30 1/8, still the same. If we wanted to adjust face frame options, we have the option here. Oh, I do want to make it an inset door versus the overlay. That's the one thing I wanted to change. Other than that, everything looks good. I'm going to click OK. And it's going to draw in those 3 upper face frame cabinets. Only thing I need to do on this is I'm going to say, no, this last cabinet needs to be a right finished end. So here I have my kitchen break room, and it looks like the drawing's done, the 3-dimensional drawing's done, but now I want to take it and I want to do some more drawings with it. I'm going to go a little bit fast through this because there's a lot that can happen. One thing, though, I do want to just note is we have the ability to group a product or group a bunch of products together. And so this kitchen island is one of them. And for time's sake, I'm not going to draw it. But all the things that I just did for this particular break room, we'll call it, if I had multiple stories that I were working on and I wanted to pull in a similar lineup, but maybe make a tweak on the last cabinets or something like that, or the first cabinets, I could save this under modify and under my products. I can group these products together and it will save all the customization, all the sizing, the finished ends, everything that I just did to create this. It'll save that as a group. It'll look to this area under my drawing area, under the group area. But what's cool is when I drop that group in, it'll drop in the 6 or 8 cabinets that I made, and it's all done and ready to go. And if I need to make any tweaks afterwards, it's given me new part numbers for those. So it's fantastic method there. So for the drawing method, we have a couple different ones. One that I'll show you is I consider this a quick method. This is something that you might use if you want to showcase something quickly to a client or give somebody on the floor who's building this just a little bit more information. Not necessarily for some people do use this for shop drawings, but I personally, I wouldn't. I would use some of the other methods, but you could get away with it in a pinch. So I'm going to use AutoCAD's view-based command. And so I'm going to say, hey, I want to select this model. And I went to that first view-based page, and now it's going to bring me back there. And now when I select a location, it's going to drop in an elevation. Now I'm going to just leave this as an elevation for a second because I want to make a tweak to it. I want to make it a little bit bigger. And it's coming in as like a wireframe mesh. I'm just going to edit this, and I'm going to say that I would like to have it be a hidden line view. And we'll say visible lines. So now that's a hidden. We could actually do a visual of, we could do, I think it's visibility. No, there's a way to do it so that it has like the grain direction, but we'll just do it like this for now. So now that I select it, now I can create another projection, and we can do maybe like an isometric. This one though, I want to make small again, but notice it's bringing that parent view in. Now when I select it too, I can say, let's do a section, and we'll do maybe a vertical section, or sorry, a plan section through that, horizontal section. And now when I select this, it's going to pull that in. It does label it. I'm going to delete the label for now, but it's hatched it. What's cool though, this is dynamic. So if I pull this down to the base cabinets, it's going to actually show me those base cabinets now. So you can have multiples. I can do vertical sections, horizontal sections. I can even do details. If I wanted to do a detail, I could select, and I could say, hey, add a detail right here, and it'll add that in. If I want to change the scale, I can do that. If I want to delete that, and this is dynamic to the three-dimensional geometry that's in model space, but it's all coming in as paper space. This is one method. Another method that we could use is what we call our 2D drawing tokens. So here, if I go to draw and I go to 2D drawings, I can say, hey, I want to make an elevation of this particular wall. And let's try that again. Yeah. I forgot to hit all. So, it was asking me. So it says, do you want to select all? Yes. And now where do I want to draw the elevation? I'm just going to pull it down in line. And now the program is going to bring in the elevation for that. And it's actually going to add some dimensioning to it. This is coming in at a weird scale because I have mine set to 3/8. But this is an annotative scale. So I can just go in and say, no, I want this to be 1 inch instead. It's going to automatically adjust. Because this is AutoCAD, if I wanted to continue, I could say, hey, I want to continue this, and just say, let's do a continuous dimension from there and start to dimension stuff. So we can just go through and do that. I selected the wrong spot here, but you get the idea. Very cool as far as that goes, and as far as what you can do. This actually needs to go right there. There we go. That's better. So, very cool as far as that goes. If I wanted to do a section through too, I could say, all right, let's do a section from this wall at 12 inches. And I want to show that right over here. And now it's going to draw in a section. Now these are pulling in different parameters. So like the hatch pattern is coming from the material. The dimension style is the default dimension style. So you would make it your own and it would look like your own dimension style. This adjustable shelf call out is something that you can change. There's a lot of things that you can change about the parameters of this. There's another method which I won't go into, but there is a video of this on Microvellum's website. It's called section plane. And so with section plane, what you can do is you can use AutoCAD and take and slice and dice the geometry, and it will give you a similar detail to what these are, but it'll be a little bit more detailed as far as what you can specify hatch pattern wise and layer wise within AutoCAD. And then you would go through and do the dimensioning and annotating. One thing that is cool about this method is if I make a modification to the drawing though, say I want to go in and I want to change it so that the adjustable shelves, instead of being 4, I think it was, I want it to be 6. I can say that, click OK, and it's going to update not only my 3-dimensional model, but it's going to update my elevation and my section to match. Very, very powerful as far as that goes. All right, last little bit, and then I'll be done, is I need to now take this drawing and push it to the CNC. I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, let's create a new work order from the drawing. And I'm just going to select one of the products. It's going to pull in the project, and I'm going to select now all of the products. What's cool here is that it's automatically added, and you can configure the name. That is the one thing I did customize in this. I just configured the name so it would bring in the current job and name, and it just was a matter of doing some organization there. And that looks good, and I'm going to hit process, and now it's going to go through and come up with a list of all the parts and pieces associated with these products that I just drew. It's going to take a second, but in my experience when I was doing this, I was manually programming for many years. And so we used a Wiki machine, which used woodwop. I would have to go into woodwop and I'd have to size each part and piece, and then I'd have to use the program to nest it. It was very tedious, very time consuming. This eliminates all of that. So now it says, do you want to look at it? I do. Here's a list of all my parts and pieces. I can then take this list and I could say, hey, I want to organize everything by material. And so I could do that, or by name, or by room. If I needed to actually isolate a material, I could pull it up here. And we have the way a way to filter everything. So I could say, hey, give me everything that is just, not that one, let's just 3/4 melamine. Here's the 3/4 melamine. So if I want to isolate everything, I'll isolate everything. Very cool as far as that goes. This can get moved around to wherever it needs to be. But right now I want to select everything. I want to, down here, I have the option, this is my machine output. So if I have a nested base machine, or a point-to-point, or a saw, or even an H-bore for like horizontal drilling, horizontal boring, that's where this is set up. So this would be customized to your shop. So if you have a nested base machine, that's what you would see. If you have a point-to-point and a saw, beam saw, you would see those two. I'm going to just think that I'm pushing this to a nested base machine. This is just a sample one. Select all the parts, assign this to those parts. There's some parts and pieces that don't get that assigned to because they're hardwood, obviously. So those are just going to cut list. And now I'm going to hit process. And it's going to give me it shows me that one of the parts can be flipped. So I'm going to say okay. And now it's going to take a second, and then it's going to say, hey, everything looks good and it's been processed. So processing is complete. And now what's cool is I can go in and I can open up my drawing, and I can actually see exactly how it was processed. So in CAD, it's created a nest view. So I can see all my nests. I can see the machining, even my custom machining that I did. It gives me a barcode. It gives me a percentage yield of what's been cut, and it gives me a list of all the parts and pieces. So these numbers will correlate with the labeling system that we have. We also do auto labeling. We also do on-demand labeling. So whatever you need, we can accommodate that. So this is a great way to see and visualize what's being done, make sure that everything looks good. Or maybe I have a situation where I know that this particular sheet has a blemish in this corner. I can just move this to a different spot because I'm in AutoCAD and re-output this, and it'll update accordingly. We can also do modifications within the nest of other things that we can do. So like we could say, hey, I want to rotate a part or move a part or change a set mill. We have a set mill that goes in and out. We can change that if we needed to. I can also change the, where is it? I can change, I think it's on routing tools. No, it is nested parts. It's It's going to drive me nuts. Assign priority to router. So I can say, okay, I want all the small pieces cut and I want this one first and this one second and this one third. Very cool as far as that goes. So this is one avenue that's nice to be able to see. I'm going to go back to the processing area. The other area that we're going to look at is the labels. So under labels, I can see my preview and it'll show me an example or show me what these labels are going to look like. So when I zoom in, it's got the information of the product and the room and then the picture of the product and what gets edge banded. These parts are rotated in a way that they are on the nest. So all the operator has to do is just stick them on with the same way that, and as long as the operator can read them, then they're right on the part. You don't have to like be thinking about move or rotating these around. So it's very straightforward. This one here is the one that I customized and it has a phase 6. So it actually shows you the phase 6 on the label so the operator knows, and it gives them a barcode so that they can run that part afterwards. We do have an option too where we can do phase 6 machining first. The other thing we have are product labels. So the product labels are just basic, hey, this is what it is. There's ways that we can customize those too. And then the last thing is the reports. So under the reports, I'm going to go a little fast through this because I want to show you just a little bit more. There's so many options with reports. And what I would suggest to do is on our website. So I'm going to just pull this up. On our website, if you go to microvellum.com, you scroll down here, you can say watch a demo, or you can say, which is kind of what I'm doing right now, or you can say view a sample output. So if you hit view a sample output, this is what you get. This is essentially what I was just looking at, maybe a tweak here or there, but this has been done using Microvellum. So here's the cabinet lineup. I had my face frame cabinets up there, but kind of similar. Here's what they did in CAD for the CAD output sections. So, but as you scroll down, you can see, I didn't show you this, but you can do the rendering. I could just hit render in that view that we just had. We have details. These are some of the reports that you get. So this is a shipping manifest. It gives you an idea of what things are there. You can have what we call a product detail report. This actually lists what the item is, gives you an image of it, gives you the hardware, gives you a breakdown of all the parts and pieces. So this is the sample output is a great way to get a view of a lot of the different reports that we have. And as you can see, it just keeps going and going and going. So these are just all different methods. We also have a nest optimization report, which is great for the CNC operator to be able to look at the nests. But I would suggest going through this and just getting a feel for it as far as that goes. Another good area to go is the Microvellum Knowledge Network. And here you can ask, type in questions or type in, what are system recommendations for Microvellum? We can actually look that up, and this gives us a breakdown of what is acceptable for that. So microvellum.com has got a lot of things. One other thing that I'll show you here, and then I'll go back to the demo. If I go to learn, this is a new area. Hey, look, I'm famous. You can go to videos, and I can go into training plans, and there's actually training plans built in or training videos. So this is a great resource. This is actually brand new for us this year. And these are all free. So anybody who's interested in learning about Microvellum, just come here and just start learning. So back to the reports. The one report that I'll show you is this product detail report. This is kind of a good one that I used to like to use a lot. I showed you the one on that sample, but I wanted to show you this one because see, it's got that customization that I did to this particular tall cabinet. So you can see it right there. You can also break it down even to see the screws, how many screws you have. Product detail. This is another product detail report, which is kind of cool. This is a little bit bigger of an image, so you can get a really good feel for it. The last thing I'll show you is there is a cost estimating report. that's built in. And this is built in with some really cool parameters. It takes a second for it to load, so I'll just talk you through it. So this has, a breakdown of what the project may be, or a project quote that you would send to a customer. Gives you kind of a breakdown. If you want to add markups, you can do it right here and it'll recalculate it from there. Some sample terms and conditions. But this also gives you a breakdown of maybe the materials that you're going to be using. So the hardware cost. So in the hardware library, you can add the costs. Now it's going to know and track how many pieces of hardware it is and give you an estimate to that. That's very accurate. In the hardware, in the material library, you're going to have edge banding. Well, how much does the edge banding cost? How much does the sheet goods cost? This program knows, well, how much edge banding it's using. And there's a spot where you can go, it's called an activity token, where you can adjust and say, well, my edge bander runs at a rate of 15 meters per minute. My edge banding hourly cost is $200 an hour. Now Microvellum goes, well, I know you have 2,700 linear feet of edge banding. Here's your cost. Fantastic. Very accurate, very powerful. Not that many people utilize it, in my opinion, and it's highly, it can make life so much faster. And more accurate. Even if you're just using these totals for a judgment on, well, did that project take too long or not? So lots of things that can happen with the hardware report. You can also do a group. So you can say, hey, I want to do a report group. And now anytime you process a job, it's just automatically going to make the 10 reports that you use and save them in a specific location. Again, the goal with Microvellum is automation. So our mission is to just push stuff through as fast as you can get, done, so that you can have highly repetitive, accurate information really quickly to feed your guys on the floor. I had an instance where it's myself and somebody else who is running the shop as far as the CNC department goes, and my colleague didn't show up on Monday. Well, where is he? He was in a coma. And so he was in a coma for a month, and I had to keep my entire shop busy by myself with Microvellum, about 25 guys. And I was able to confidently do that with the program, kept them all very busy, very happy. And I was only working like 9-hour days to keep up with things. So very, very cool as far as that goes. So I'm going to go back to this area, and because I want to finish this up and show you the last little bit. And again, this can be the most powerful, honestly, side of things with Microvellum, but it's really something that I want to showcase quickly. So I'm going to go back under to project, and I'm going to do a new room. And under my new room, I'm going to say, let's do, we'll just call it room 1 is fine. But I'm going to switch to a different template, and I'm going to click OK. Or click open. I'm going to go to top-down view. So here you can see there's a bunch of different paths. And then on this side, same ones there, but in a different view. On this side, you see a bunch of sections, right? Before I show you that, I want to show you just something simple. And we're going to use what's called our solid modeling tools. So Microvellum not only has the ability to pull from that library and drop a product in and visualize what's there, we could take and create our own product. So if I just start drawing a rectangle, so I'm drawing a rectangle, I'm going to make it 3/4 by 12. I'm going to copy it, 24. I'm going to draw in a second rectangle that just kind of connects those. And one last one that's going to say, hey, it's this width by only 1/2 inch. So I've just done basically a plan section through a cabinet. I'm going to look at this though, and I'm going to say, all right, let's just add a little dimension to this. So I'm going to extrude. So I just typed in extrude and enter. I'm going to grab these 3 parts, not that one. I'll hold the shift button and deselect. And I'm going to say, hey, this is 36 inches tall. This guy here is going to be 3/4 of an inch. Let's copy this up. Now this doesn't have to be just straight parts. It can be curved parts. It can be anything that's going to be a sheet good. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say, let's copy array for fit and keep that centered. So I have just a simple cabinet, but this is just three-dimensional AutoCAD. It's nothing to do with Microvellum. It's not in the program at all. They're just 3D solids. So what I can do is I can go into my analyze feature and I can say, hey, I want to analyze these parts and pieces. And now I want to right click and it's going to say, do you want to save the drawing? I do. Now it's saying, hey, I found a 3/4 inch piece of material. What do you want it to be? I want it to be 3/4 inch melamine or MDF. And now it says, I found a piece of 1/2 inch material. What would you like it to be? I want it to be 3/4 inch MDF. Sorry, 1/2 inch MDF. Do you want to save it in the current drawing? Yes, I do. And I'm going to put it over here. And so what it's done is this is my 3D drawing, nothing special, not in the program. This is a product that it just created that now I can push to a CNC machine. Very, very powerful, very powerful. But I want to see a little bit more about this. If I click my edit design data and I open that up, it actually gives me a list of these parts and pieces. This is the power in Microvellum. You have all of these products that you can see, right? I'm going to come in to our product list. So these are all the products that I just put in before. This is the one that I just did now that I analyzed. So under here, I can go in and I can actually look at all of the parts and pieces in spreadsheet format. You might go, Adam, you're getting into too much detail here. This is a lot, right? There's a lot of power here. But what's cool with this is I can go my custom product that I just did. Now I can see really a cut list, and this is what's going to process to the CNC. But even at that, if I wanted to, I could say, hey, I'm just doing a cut list for trim or a cut list for something that's super simple. I don't even need the drawings for it. I can right click and I can say, I want to add a new empty product. And we could name it if we want to, but in this new empty product, I could say, hey, I have a part, we'll do part 1, and I can take and I can copy this down. I can do quantity of 1, copy it down. I can put in a width and a length, and I can make my own list, and I can put my own material in here. And when I'm done, I can say, hey, this is going to all be out of 1/2 inch MDF. Copy this down. No drawing parameters in here. I can save this and I can nest this immediately. Again, very, very powerful stuff. So with all that, in mind, and I'm trying to get this done, like I said, in a good amount of time, we're going to come back. So this is one aspect of our solid modeling tools. Another aspect of our solid modeling tools is the ability to have Microvellum help me create my 3D drawing. So this was easy, right? But now I want to make a 3D drawing of maybe a die wall. And that's a little bit more complicated. So I can go into my solid modeling tools and drop it. And this is the last bit that I'm doing, and then I'm done. Drop it in here, and I can say, hey, I want to add a product. My product is going to be an extruded product starter. It's saying, hey, pick a path. So this is all this is a polyline. I'm going to select that as a polyline. Now notice the product is there, and now I can see that it's got some more options. So I'm going to pick this number 4 here. The only thing that makes this unique is that they're closed polylines. That's it. That's the only thing that makes it unique. These actually have a layer associated with them too, so I didn't have to pick the material like I did above. So I'm going to say, okay, let's pick these extruded parts. And I'm going to come over here and select this. And now what Microvellum is going to do is it's going to look at that section. It's going to look at my path, and it's going to say, okay, here is what I have calculated for that particular view, or that 3D model. But what's cool is this is live. So if I need to make a stretch to this, I can make a stretch. It's going to redraw. If I need to move this, I can move it and it's going to redraw all those parts and pieces. If I need to add a cutout, I can just add it and it's going to add it to all of them. So this is a drawing aid. It's going to speed up that process of maybe die walls or anything that's extruded along a path. What's cool too is if I need to make tweaks or changes, again, I'm kind of thinking about the drawing only, but I can come in here and say, hey, this is at 12 inches. Now all those shells, or now all those studs come in at 12. Well, maybe I want to take and I want to adjust a seam. I don't want a seam between here and here. I can remove it. I can add a seam. I can rotate parts. I can do multiple sections. And when I'm done, all that I need to do is right click and hit save. And what's going to happen is it's going to analyze my parts and pieces just like it did with this one. And it's going to give me a list that can go to the CNC machine. So again, Microvellum is very powerful on many platforms. This is one of them. This particular feature, in what we've seen in customer feedback, gets you about 80% of the way there. And then there's some fine tuning that you do in the spreadsheet or in that once it's been put into Microvellum, you make those tweaks and those changes, you get it done, send it to the machine, and you're good to go. So if it's a one-off product and you don't care about, making it parametric or making it nice, you just need to get it done and get it out. This is between these two methods, the solid model analyzer and the extruded product builder, you can get that done. So again, hopefully this was helpful. I was trying to keep it concise, but hopefully this is helpful for you. If you have any questions, I would say comment in the video, but I am not very good at looking at my comments. But if you have any questions, you can go right to microvellum.com and put in that you would like to have a demo request or I was going to go right here. Go here and you can put in a request or contact us, and it will get you to the right person to speak with as far as what next steps could be. But hopefully you found this video helpful. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and talk to you soon.